A serious risk that we have in any online system is attackers attempting to brute force authentication implementations. So what I mean by that is just logging in over and over and over again, or at least attempting to log in with the same username and just iterating through passwords. Now they may pull those passwords from other breached systems. One thing that we know about user habits is that they reuse credentials at an alarmingly high rate. If you can find a public dump with clear text credentials or weakly secured credentials, say by a poor hashing algorithm, and you can get the plain text of someone's password, there's a very high probability that you'll be able to use those same credentials on a totally independent service. It's not just that, but if you have a dictionary of common passwords that you can enumerate through fast enough, there's a real risk that you can find someone's password. We've seen these attacks in the wild, sometimes with great sophistication. GitHub recently had a series of pretty severe brute force attacks via botnet, so a distributed army of machines controlled by attackers attempting to log in to different accounts from all corners of the world. We've also seen some serious brute force authentication attacks against things like WordPress sites in recent years, simply because they didn't have a good enough defense for brute force authentication attacks. Let's see how this app fares. I'm going to jump on over to the Composer. We just tried logging in before. In fact, we logged in successfully. I'm going to drag that login request over into the Composer, and I'm going to change my password. We'll just change it to foo. That's an invalid password. If we now attempt to log in, and we take a look at that response, go to our inspectors, look at the raw response, we just get a null JSON body. We can see the difference to a legitimate logon quite easily if we scroll across so that we can see the body column. Here's our earlier response, 117 bytes. That was a legitimate logon, and it returned a nice JSON body. Here's one that failed, only 4 bytes. It's null. Now if we jump back over to the Composer, we can test for brute force protection just by doing this. Click, 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 click. We keep trying to log in. We keep getting a response of 4 bytes. We can sit here and do this all day. Keep going, keep going. We're going to see if at any point the server perhaps responds in a slower fashion or has a totally different response altogether. Every time I click this button, it's going off and trying to authenticate to the server. Now eventually, we might try the correct password again, just to check the account hasn't been locked out or suffered any other adverse impact as a result of us trying to brute force it. Let's try and log in. Well, that looks more positive. Let's check the response. And we are again logged in. That is a very, very simple test. And I looked at a similar risk in the Hack Yourself First course where we had a lack of brute force protection in the web app. I'm showing it to you again now because APIs make this risk even easier for attackers to exploit. They're just such nice little tight HTTP requests, only 4 bytes in the response there. It's extremely easy for an attacker to enumerate through an API that allows someone to log in at a very fierce rate. And you'll find that a huge number of mobile apps have absolutely no brute force protection at all. Now, if you want to get into detail about what are good brute force protections, go back to the Hack Yourself First course and have a look at the suggestions that I make there. I won't repeat them all here in this course, but I did want to show you how easy and how fast it was for me to continue just to hammer that service with invalid credentials. If I can make enough requests fast enough, sooner or later, as an attacker, I'm going to find the password of a significant portion of the users in this system. So do check your apps for brute force protection on login APIs.